guys. Happy Monday morning. What is faith? Let's talk about it. Jesus. Coffee. What is faith? So I want to go over a verse and break down the first part of a verse, and then talk about what it is, right? So I want to go into Ephesians 2:8. We'll go into 8 and 9. Well, actually, we'll just stay in 8. Just kind of fly, right? For by grace you've been saved through faith. So, for by grace you've been saved through faith. Right? Well, what's faith? What's faith? And that not of yourselves, it is a gift of God. So, by grace you've been saved, which a great way to remember grace is God's riches at Christ's expense. Grace, God's riches at Christ's expense. By grace you've been saved through faith. Good morning, 6. And that not of yourselves. It's a gift of God. I'm going to go over a couple diagrams this week and talk about them. So, what is faith? So, morning, Joey. So, faith takes 3 steps. Okay? To have faith, it takes 3 steps. What are those 3 steps? Well, first step is we need to admit that we're sinners and that we deserve separation from God. We deserve God's wrath. Okay? So that's the first step, is we need to admit, right? So we go into 1 John 1:8, and it says, if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. Right? So if we say, good morning, Christina, if we say that we're not sinners, well, I'm not a sinner. I don't sin. I'm not a sinner. Well, the truth is not in you, and that you deceive yourselves, because we're all sinners. We're all born with a sin nature. That sin nature happened. That's the gift we get from Adam, being descendants of Adam. So first step is to admit we deserve separation, eternal separation from God. Step 2 is to believe in the finished work on the cross of Jesus. That He, and He alone, took the penalty for our sins and nailed it to the cross with Him. Right? So, and then we go into 1 John 2:2. Well, actually, I want to go into 1 John 2:1 and 2. My little children, these things I write to you so that you may not sin. And if anyone sins, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. And He Himself is the propitiation for our sins. And not only for ours, but for ours of the whole world. So what is propitiation? It's a big fancy word that just means satisfaction of wrath. Jesus satisfied the wrath. It satisfied the debt for the wrath that we deserve when we admit that we are sinners. Yeah. Have a great day, brother. Yeah, I'll read through it. So He paid that penalty on the cross. We believe in that, right? So, and then the third step is we receive. We receive that free gift of God. In the back of Ephesians 2:8, for by grace you've been saved through faith, not of yourselves. It is a gift of God. Well, what do you have to do with a gift first? You have to receive it. Before you can open it, you have to receive it, right? You have to accept that gift. So that's faith, guys. And I'll show you a bridge diagram tomorrow. I'll do a bridge diagram tomorrow of how we are separated from God by sin. So we're here, he's here. And that's a chasm that we can't cross. Doesn't matter how good we are, doesn't matter how much work we do, you can't cross it. The only way to get from here to here is the cross of Christ. That's how we get across there. And guys, know that we're not, you're nowhere in the middle. You can't be anywhere in the middle of that. Well, I'm right about here. No, you're either here or you're here. You're here when you're eternally separated from God. The only way to get here and be reconciled with him, because that was the whole purpose of the cross, was reconciliation. So when we get from here to here, we only get there one way. And that is the cross of Christ. You're not in the middle. You're not, well, I'm right about here. No, you're either here or here. If you think you're somewhere in the middle, then we don't truly understand the gospel. And we still have a little gospel confusion. Okay? Here to here. Only one way to be. Here, when we're separated, you're created in the image of God. When you're here, which means you're truly reconciled to God, you're a child of God. And we'll get into that a little deeper. When people placate others by telling them, well, you're a child of God. Not if you haven't placed your faith in him, you're not. I'll get into that a little deeper. That's like nails on a chalkboard when I hear people who are sharing the gospel, telling people who haven't placed their faith in him, well, you're a child of God. No, you're not. You're gospel confused by telling them that they're a child of God. So, we get that faith. 3 steps. Admit that you're a sinner and that you deserve eternal separation from God. You deserve his wrath. You believe that Jesus was the satisfaction of that wrath, and he drank that cup of eternal wrath on the cross, which is why in the garden he asks the Father, is there any way this cup could pass from me? Meaning, do I really have to, is there any other way we can do this without me having to go to the cross? That's really what he was asking. It's kind of the remix easy version. Is there any way this cup could pass from me, yet not my will be done, your will be done? Complete obedience to the Father. All right. So that's faith, guys. That's faith in a nutshell. I mean, faith is believing, yes, but those 3 steps have to happen for there to be faith. You have to admit you're a sinner deserving of eternal separation. Believe that the reconciliation took place when you believe in the finished work of Jesus on the cross. And you receive that gift. So, I love you guys like crazy. And yes, 6, those diagrams that Pastor Rutt did are amazing. They really do truly. I've always liked the bridge diagram. Actually, that was one that I drew up for Eddie. I believe Eddie, you and I did the bridge diagram. Bridge diagram is a great diagram to help people understand the cross and understand that chasm that we can't cross. So, he loves you guys like crazy. We'll be back tomorrow with whatever Dad wants to talk about, because it's a mystery every day. Love you guys.